one that's exotic, I look cute. When I'm smoking, we hit it up. I'm from St. Louis, say like my wife. You drunk, you swerving. I'm sexy, so we nervous.
I'm from St. Louis.
314-63136. St. Louis, Ferguson, Jennings, all that.
So I've been in Atlanta for the past 5 years, and I pretty much like it a lot. But St. Louis is where I was born. St. Louis is where I'm from. You may be familiar with people like Nelly, Chingy, Huey, Cedric the Entertainer. Some people claim SZA, not really. And most recently, Sexy Red. And even more recently, me. A lot of different people come from St. Louis, but not everybody leaves St. Louis, and not everybody really goes far enough outside of St. Louis to understand what they're missing out in life. That's why I'm here in Georgia. This is not a video to sell you why you should move to St. Louis or keep you away from St. Louis. I'm simply stating I'm from St. Louis, and this is a pretty cool place to be from. If you're a real bitch, that's just what it is. One of the most interesting things about St. Louis is a lot of different things that we have all consumed or consume on a daily basis actually come from St. Louis. St. Paul sandwiches, unbeatable Chinese food, Provel cheese, emotes, pizza, toasted ravioli, gooey butter cake, peanut butter, 7-Up, iced tea, and I always go back for the White Castle. White Castle wasn't founded in St. Louis or anything. That's just like, I come to St. Louis to get White Castle. I fucking love it. It's crazy. Most people know St. Louis for being the murder capital. St. Louis has remained between number 1 and number 3 of the highest murder rate in a U.S. city. Why is that? Well, the answer is simple. St. Louis is actually very small. The city was originally built for around 1 million people during the industrial age. A lot of beer was being produced there. That was our main trade coming out of Missouri. Now, we still have Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis, but for the most part, other smaller breweries have kind of left St. Louis, and other breweries have been built around the United States that kind of push that industry not to be exclusively in St. Louis. The population right now is actually 293,310. That's as of 2021, and that's very small. And I don't know if that's like just the city of St. Louis or that's like North County, South County, West County. Like, I don't know if they're counting like everything that's like under the 314 area code, but that's little over 250,000 people that live in this city. My goodness. So imagine if somebody dies every day in a city that has a little over 250,000 people. Yes, the murder rate is high then. If you're from a St. Louis high school, you can probably count on at least one hand, how many of your classmates have been murdered. St. Louis is just very small. It can be very violent in some areas, and it's just very easy for you to get caught up in things that you shouldn't have been caught up in the first place. Like, for example, as soon as you get to the circle, nobody stops at red lights. Literally, like, nobody stops at stop signs, red lights. If you do, you're either foreign or you're very cautious. But for the most part, it's like a well-known rule that you don't stop at stop signs or stoplights in St. Louis. Why that is? Because it's a little dangerous sometimes. Like, that's kind of the well-known fact about St. Louis. That doesn't mean it's a place that's completely inhabitable. That means nobody want to live there. Like, being from St. Louis myself, I come from specifically North County, Ferguson. I grew up in my dad's house for the most part. And I remember for a long time, I didn't even want to tell people I was from St. Louis because I was kind of embarrassed, to be honest. Like, people associate that place with a lot of violence, with a lot of poverty. You know, they don't always embrace the great things and the great people that come from St. Louis. So I wasn't always just so ready to tell people, hey, I'm from St. Louis 314. Even though I got this 314 tattoo on the side of my face, I just never really wanted to embrace the fact that I was from such a city that had such a negative connotation to it. But when you go to the city and you go to certain parts, it's very different from what you see on the news and what the media kind of pushes out. Because when I got older, growing up in the northern part of St. Louis, you pretty much are close to, if not in the most dangerous and the most like impoverished part of St. Louis. I'm not saying that's exactly where I come from, but the closer to the north you are, the closer to the hood you are. That is the very, very truth. So St. Louis, Missouri was actually a European settlement, which is quite interesting to me. It was founded in 1919.
It was founded in 1764.
Pierre Leclerc Legues, recipient of a land grant from the King of France, and his 13-year-old scout, Auguste Chateau, selected the site of St. Louis in 1764 as a fur trading post. So St. Louis was originally pronounced Saint Louis. That was so awful. I actually know a French person right now, so this is embarrassing. One of the biggest landmarks in St. Louis, of course, is the St. Louis Arch. So the St. Louis Arch was built to signify the gateway to the West. So when the explorers, Lewis and Clark,
Right?
So like Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea, some damn body, like were like on an expedition to explore more of the what is now the United States, and the arch was built some decades later to signify the gateway to the West. The arch literally sits parallel to the Mississippi River. So if you stand under the arch and you look in front towards the river, you're looking directly east. And if you turn around, you're looking directly west. So the arch is literally the ultimate compass of St. Louis. You know east, west, north, south based on the legs of the arch and the way you are facing. Guess that's something cool. I only know these things actually because I used to work at the arch. I used to be what's called a ticket sales agent. And I would either work at the courthouse or the arch, and I would sell tickets for people to take a tram up to the top of the arch. Not sure if everyone knows this, but yes, you can go inside the St. Louis Arch and you can see the entire city from the very top of the arch. Now, I did just find out that homicides are down about 22% this year in St. Louis, which is actually pretty great. Although the last few news stories I just watched, two of them from one day ago and two of them from 20 hours ago, a woman was killed in St. Louis in Central West End. Another woman was found shot in the head inside of an apartment in St. Louis. There was a high school student in Sumner High School, which is one of those real city high schools in St. Louis, killed Wednesday night. And another teenager. Maybe that's the same article. So in just the last day, there were 3 murders. That's not nothing I'm celebrating by any means, but I don't know how that goes. The drop in homicides is on pace to be the city's largest year-over decrease since the 1930s, and the city has its fewest homicides through late August in almost a decade. Meanwhile, reported aggravated assaults were down about 6.5% through the end of July. Robberies were down about 17%, and burglaries more than 13%. Okay, St. Louis. Y'all are getting better, I think. I'm not sure. I think it's just one of those things, if you're there and you like sit in it and you see enough of the news, you'll be like, it's scary. My sister was telling me she was driving my aunt around, and my aunt like hardly leaves the house these days, but she was driving my aunt around and she may or may not have cut somebody off or something, and my aunt damn near freaked out because she was like, oh my God, someone's going to shoot you. Just don't do something like that. And my sister's like, auntie, like, just chill out. Like, it's nothing like that. Like, I'm just trying to get around this person, whatever. But I guess if you sit in the house enough and watch news in St. Louis, you'll probably be scared to go outside and do anything that'll ruffle anybody's feathers. So maybe I get that. Overall, I just wanted to give y'all a little history about St. Louis. Let y'all know that's where I'm from. Let y'all know that some real motherfuckers come out of that city. It's a lot of crazy, funny, real ass people that come out of St. Louis. And I'm just another one introducing y'all to myself, Hashi Lens. I almost forgot. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. I love you.